Good day, everyone. Welcome to Truth and Social Life, a philosophical inquiry. This session invites us to reflect on one of the most fundamental yet most misunderstood aspects of human existence, the concept of truth. Let me share my slides. We live in a time of competing narratives, political polarization, and information overload. Amid this chaos, truth often feels negotiable, as though it bends to opinion or convenience. But this course challenges that assumption. It asks, what does it mean to seek truth? What responsibilities come with that search? And how does our understanding of truth shape our personal lives, our relationships, and our society? In philosophy, religion, and social sciences, truth has always been essential to questions of meaning, justice, and community. Whether we study Plato or modern media, we're ultimately exploring the same thing, what it means to live authentically in a world that constantly tempts us with illusion. To begin this journey, let's look at the course out overview, what we will be exploring, and how we'll approach it. Over the next 2 weeks, so the slide outlines the big questions we'll be engaging with and the interdisciplinary methods we'll use. We'll be asking questions such as what is truth? How do we recognize it? And why should it matter to us both individually and collectively? Our approach is integrative. We draw from the wisdom of ancient philosophy, thinkers like Socrates and Aristotle, from religious traditions that link truth with liberation, and from social and contemporary analyses that explore how truth operates in institutions, politics, and culture. This approach emphasizes that truth is not merely an intellectual puzzle, it is also ethical, spiritual, and social, something that defines human flourishing. When people stop seeking or valuing truth, relationships deteriorate, societies fracture, and freedom collapses. Conversely, when we commit to truth, we must nurture trust, understanding, and justice. Let's now anchor our reflection on the most fundamental question of all. What is truth? The central question is, what is truth? Philosophers, theologians, and scientists have wrestled with this question for centuries. It's deceptively simple, yet foundational. Every belief we hold, every judgment we make, assumes some idea of truth. When I say something is true, I claim it corresponds to reality or coheres with reason. But how do we know that what we think is true is actually true? In our modern post truth era, this question is no longer just academic because we live amid misinformation, disinformation, and polarized realities. One person's truth becomes another's fake news. This slide reminds us understanding what truth is and why it matters is not an abstract exercise. It's essentially for maintaining democracy, for forming community, and for living freely. Truth is the oxygen of reasoned discourse. Without it, everything else suffocates. To deepen our grasp, let's look at how philosophers across history have defined truth in different ways. There are four philosophical theories of truth. The each so here we see four dominant frameworks: the correspondence, the coherence, the pragmatic, and the constructivist theories of truth. Each theory answers the question, what makes something true, in a unique way. So, the correspondence. Truth means matching reality. Something is true if it accurately describes the way the world is. Coherence. Truth is about internal consistency within a set of beliefs or proportions or propositions. Pragmatism. Truth is what works, what proves useful in experience. Constructivism. Truth is created socially through language, power, and culture. Each theory has its own strength. Correspondence emphasizes objectivity. Coherence highlights logical structure. Pragmatism values practical wisdom. And constructivism reveals how knowledge is shaped by society. Rather than compete, these perspectives can complement each other, giving us a multi-layered understanding of truth. Let's start with the classical view, the correspondence theory. This theory, rooted in Aristotle's philosophy, defines truth as correspondence with reality. When we say snow is white, that statement is true if and only if snow in fact is white. The truth of the statement depends on the way the world actually is. This view feels intuitive because it aligns with our everyday experience. Science, journalism, law often rely on correspondence. We look for facts, evidence, and verification. The strengths are also clear. It supports objectivity, rationality, and empirical investigation. But there are challenges too. How do we access reality directly? What about moral or mathematical truths that can't be observed? And who decides what counts as a fact? These questions remind us that correspondence truth works best for concrete realities but struggles when truth become abstract or value-laden. Now, what if truth isn't about matching external facts, but fitting coherently within a rational system? That brings us to the coherence theory. Let's look at the coherence theory. The coherence theory defines truth as logical consistency within a network of beliefs. In this view, a statement is true if it fits smoothly into a larger interconnected web of propositions. Think of mathematics. A theorem is true not because it describes physical reality, but because it follows logically from accepted axioms. This approach, axiomatization, is especially appealing in disciplines that deal with abstract reasoning like logic, philosophy, or theology. It emphasizes intellectual harmony and rational structure. However, coherence can be dangerous if isolated from reality. Multiple coherent systems can exist that contradict each other. For example, both ancient astrology and modern astronomy can form internally consistent systems, but only one corresponds to the real cosmos. Thus, coherence is necessary for truth, but it is not sufficient. From the logical to the practical, what happens when truth is judged not by logic or coherence, but in terms of its usefulness in life? That's the pragmatic theory of truth. Pragmatism. Pragmatism, developed by American thinkers like Charles Peirce, William James, and John Dewey, redefines truth in terms of what works. A belief is true if it proves useful, if it helps us live better, solve problems, or adapt successfully to the world. For instance, scientific theories are considered true because they yield predictable and beneficial results. This theory resonates very much with the modern spirit, flexible, experimental, and action oriented. It connects truth with human purposes and growth. Yet it raises a key question. Is usefulness the same as truth? Some lies can be temporarily useful, some truths inconvenient. Pragmatism risks confusing effective with accurate. Still, it offers a humbling insight that truth is not static but evolving, something tested continually in human experience. From here, we shift to a modern perspective that places society and culture at the center of its truth, the social constructivist theory. Constructivism suggests that truth is created, not discovered, shaped by social processes, language, and power. This perspective argues that what we call truth reflects the dominant narratives of our culture. For instance, historical truths often depend on who gets to write history. Gender roles, moral codes, and even scientific paradigms can shift as societies evolve. Constructivism helps us understand how power dynamics influence knowledge. Michel Foucault famously said that truth and power are intertwined. Those in authority often decide what counts as true. However, constructivism also risks sliding into relativism, the idea that all truths are equally valid. If everything is socially constructed, how do we challenge injustice or falsehood? Thus, while constructivism exposes how truth operates within culture, it must still grapple with the question of objectivity and moral grounding. Now that we have examined these theories individually, let's bring them together and compare their insights. Here we see the four theories side by side, each illuminating a different dimension of truth. Correspondence connects truth to reality, indispensable for science and journalism. Coherence ties truth to logical structure, vital for mathematics and even philosophy. Pragmatism links truth to outcomes, crucial for decision making and innovation. And constructivism grounds truth in context, necessary for cultural understanding and ethics. The main lesson is that truth is not one dimensional. It wears different faces in different domains of life. Recognizing this diversity doesn't weaken our understanding of truth. It makes our grasp of it richer and even more human. Having understood the philosophical frameworks, we can now explore why truth matters, not just intellectually, but also existentially. So, why do truth matters? Truth is not a mere idea. It's the foundation of human freedom. When we see reality as it is, we can choose wisely. Ignorance, by contrast, enslaves us to illusion and also manipulation. This the slide shows a progression from ignorance to inquiry to knowledge to freedom. This process mirrors both philosophical inquiry and personal growth. When we face truth about ourselves, our strengths, our flaws, our potential, we gain the power to change. When societies face truth about injustice or corruption, they begin the process of liberation. George Orwell captured this rather perfectly. There. Freedom is the freedom to say that 2 plus 2 makes 4 or make 4. In a world of propaganda or denial, even that simple truth becomes revolutionary. But freedom isn't the only good sustained by truth. Our next focus shows how truth and love are two moral pillars. and how they are deeply intertwined. We now move to one of the most beautiful and demanding dimensions of truth, its relationship with love. Authentic love and genuine truth are inseparable. When relationships are built on deception, they eventually collapse under their own weight. Love, in its highest form, desires the good of the other, and truth reveals what is good and real about that person. The Apostle Paul writes about it beautifully. Love rejoices with the truth. This means that truth telling is an act of love, not cruelty. To tell someone the truth, even when painful, honors their dignity. It treats them as someone capable of growth, responsibility, and freedom. At the same time, truth without love can be harsh. Love without truth can be empty. The ethical challenge is actually to speak truth with compassion. What Christian ethics call charity in truth. This interplay between honesty and care leads us naturally to a dilemma. What do we do when love and truth seem to conflict? This slide presents a human dilemma. Sometimes truth feels cruel and kindness seems to demand concealment. Think of a doctor delivering a terminal diagnosis or a friend confronting another about destructive behavior. In such cases, truth telling requires wisdom. Not just what we say, but how and when we say it. Love does not require brutal honesty, but it does require authentic honesty. It shapes the expression of truth, not its abandonment. Truth without timing or empathy can wound unnecessarily. Yet silence in the face of deception or harm is not loving either. The resolution is found in discernment, the ability to hold truth and love together in balance. Mature love serves truth. It does not hide behind politeness. From the personal realm of love, we now move to the social, where truth becomes the glue that holds communities together. Truth and community. No community can survive without shared truth. Communities are sustained by common understanding, shared history, values, and commitment. And when people can no longer agree on what is real, cooperation breaks down. This slide reminds us that truth forms the foundation of social life. A shared vision and purpose, common values, a collective understanding of reality, agreement about facts, basic facts. And when these crumble, society fragments into echo chambers and hostile tribes. We've seen this in the modern world when misinformation divides families or when media ecosystems create alternate realities. Truth, therefore, is not just philosophical, it's civic. It's what allows dialogue, empathy, and unity. But today, the truth, uh, the social foundation of truth is under threat as truth itself becomes fragmented. The fragmentation of truth. This slide identifies the forces tearing apart our shared understanding of reality. We live in a digital age where information is abundant, but trust is scarce. Echo chambers isolate us. Selective reporting reinforces bias. And epistemic tribalism, the tendency to trust only those who belong to our ideological group, replaces evidence with loyalty. The result is the erosion of common ground. The erosion of common ground. Uh, when truth becomes subjective and communities inhabit parallel realities, dialogue becomes impossible. This is not just a technological issue, it's actually a moral and social crisis. We must ask ourselves then, how can we rebuild trust in truth itself? The next slide points us towards hope, the possibility of restoring common ground. Rebuilding truth is an intentional act of social responsibility. It requires intellectual humility and the willingness to admit that we might be wrong. It requires dialogue, engaging others in good faith. It requires robust institutions, schools, media, and governments that value evidence over ideology. But perhaps most importantly, it requires a shared commitment to reason, empathy, and even moral courage, recognizing that not all claims are equally valid doesn't make us intolerant, it makes us careful seekers of reality. Communities that value truth develop mechanisms for evaluating claims, correcting errors, and maintaining transparency. This is the ethical foundation of any functioning democracy. To explore how truth has been understood across traditions, let's turn to four key readings that guide this course. Let's look at the four key readings. Here we see four texts that serve as cornerstones for our inquiry: Plato's Apologia, the Gospel of John, Catholic social teaching, and Ralph Keyes' The Post-Truth Era. Each comes from a different time and worldview, yet all converge on the conviction that truth matters. Plato's Apology, the philosophical defense of truth, seeking through reason and courage. The Gospel of John, the religious vision of truth as liberation and relationship. Catholic social teaching, the moral and social dimension of truth in public life. The post-truth era, the modern crisis of honesty and integrity. By reading these together, we see that truth is not a luxury, it's the condition for authentic existence and community. Let's begin with the first and oldest of these voices, Socrates in Plato's Apology. Let's look at Plato's Apology. Plato's Apology, Socrates on Trial. Socrates stands before the court of Athens, accused of impiety and corrupting the youth. Instead of pleading for mercy, he uses his trial to defend his lifelong mission, the pursuit of truth through questioning. When the oracle declared that no one was wiser than Socrates, he sought to test that claim by questioning those reputed to be wise, politicians, poets, craftsmen, and he discovered that their confidence often hid ignorance. His own wisdom lay in recognizing his limits. This humility, no? Knowing that one does not know, is the foundation of philosophy. Sorry. The Socratic method reminds us that truth is not proclaimed by authority, but discovered through honest dialogue and self examination. Socrates' untimely death accepted or Socrates accepted death rather than abandon truth. In doing so, he taught that a life without reflection is a life unworthy of our humanity. That's why you would say the unexamined life is not worth living. So, what do we get from Socrates' understanding? That we should question authority, don't accept claims simply because someone important makes them. That we should push forward intellectual humility, recognize the limits of your knowledge, aim at dialogic truth. The truth emerges through conversation and questioning, and to have moral courage, stand by truth even when it is costly. From philosophical truth, we move to the spiritual understanding of truth that liberates the soul, that is found in the Gospel of John. When we look at John 8:31 to 32, we read there specifically uh, the truth. So, if you abide in my word, you are truly my disciples, and you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. This slide expounds on one of the most powerful and oft quoted lines in Christian scripture: You will know the truth, and it will set you free. Here, Jesus is speaking to a group of Jews who have begun to believe in him, inviting them not only to intellectual understanding, but to a lived experience of truth. What's fascinating about this passage is that Jesus ties truth directly to discipleship and freedom. He doesn't say, know the truth and you will be informed. He says, you will be free. The kind of truth Jesus speaks of is transformative, not just something we grasp with our mind, but something that grasps us. Grasps us. Uh, he invites people to abide in His Word, to dwell in truth through commitment, reflection, and faith. Freedom here is not political or physical, it's spiritual and moral. It's freedom from sin, from false values, and from illusions that enslave us. Pride, greed, fear, and self deception. Unlike philosophical truth, which aims for understanding, religious truth is different because it aims at transformation. Philosophical truth tells us what is. Spiritual truth shows us who we can become. This difference reminds us that truth isn't always a concept. Sometimes it's a relationship, a lived encounter with what is ultimately real and good. Now that we've seen how the gospel links truth with liberation, then let's contrast that with the social dimension of truth as taught in the Catholic social teachings, where truth becomes the moral foundation for uh, social life. So, Catholic thought insists that without truth, there can be no justice, no peace, and no genuine human community. Society is built not merely on laws or interests, but on trust. And trust depends on truthfulness. The Compendium identifies several interconnected dimensions. Truthful communication. Every act of communication must aim to express what is real, not manipulate or distort. Mutual trust, when people know they can rely on others' honesty, cooperation, and social progress becomes possible. Social cooperation, truth allows institutions from families to governments to function harmoniously. Justice and peace, deception breeds suspicion and division, while truth fosters reconciliation and fairness. Human flourishing, where every person has a right to truth, to understanding reality, and make free, informed decisions. Importantly, the church also frames truth seeking as moral duty. To lie, mislead, or withhold truth unjustly is not merely a mistake. It's a form of injustice because it denies others the knowledge they need to live responsibly. Thus, it's not just a private virtue, it's a public good. When truth decays, social institutions like education, politics, and media decay with it. But what happens when an entire culture begins to blur the line between truth and falsehood? To answer that, we turn to a contemporary thinker, Ralph Keyes, and his concept of a post truth era. Ralph Keyes the post-truth era examines how modern society has drifted into a condition where honesty is no longer a moral expectation, where lying has become routine and truth has become negotiable. Keyes observed that we live in an age of casual dishonesty. People no longer feel shame about bending facts. Public figures often lie without consequences. Euphemisms like spin or alternative facts mask deception under softer language. He calls this the era of situation ethics, where moral boundaries depends on convenience, not conviction. Technological, cultural, and economic forces all play a role. Technological, digital manipulation, anonymous communication, and algorithmic amplification make it easy to distort truth. Cultural, declining trust in institutions, and celebrity culture have replaced credibility with charisma. Economic media competition for attention incentivizes sensationalism over accuracy. So the cost of these post-truth culture is enormous. Erosion of trust, wherein lies are expected, cooperation dies. Institutional decay, organizations lose legitimacy when they no longer value honesty. Democratic witness, citizens cannot make informed choices without access to reliable information. Moral confusion without shared truth will lose a moral compass. Kay's warning is sobering, but his message is hopeful. We can still reverse what is going on. Um, we can still reverse the trend of rebuilding a culture of honesty, starting with individual integrity and institutional accountability. Now that we've seen truth across four great lenses, philosophical, religious, social, and contemporary, let's bring these insights together in synthesis. This slide summarizes the converging insights from Plato, John's Gospel, Catholic social teaching, and the post-truth era. Across thousands of years and diverse traditions, several themes remain constant. One, truth requires effort. Socrates questioned endlessly. Jesus called for discipleship. The church demands moral vigilance. And Keyes urges critical thinking. Truth doesn't reveal itself easily. It must be sought through humility and perseverance. Truth liberates, whether from ignorance, sin, or manipulation. Truth frees the mind and the spirit. It grants dignity and empowerment. Third, truth enables community. Shared truth allows for conversation, friendship, social justice, and even democratic cooperation. Fourth, falsehood harms. Lies enslave, divide, and destroy. From Socrates' unjust death to spiritual bondage to social decay. Although the emphases differ, reason, revelation, morality, or culture, all four traditions converge on this conviction. Truth is the lifeblood of human life. Without it, there's no freedom, no love, no society. To make these insights concrete, we now turn to reflection and practice. How each of us can cultivate a truthful way of living. Truth audit. The Truth Journal is a personal exercise designed to help us examine our own relationship with truth. For a week, we're invited to track our encounters with truth and falsehood. Ask yourself, when did I come across information that might be false? How did I determine what was true? When was I tempted to distort or withhold truth even slightly? What were the consequences of honesty or deception? This exercise transforms truth from a theoretical concept into a daily moral practice. It reveals how truth operates in ordinary life, in conversations, social media, relationships, and self talk. Ultimately, it helps us develop the virtue of truthfulness, the habit of seeking, speaking, and living truth in all things. Once we have reflected personally, then we can engage this one intellectually. This scenario, now let's look at the case study, truth in crisis. What do you mean by truth in crisis? Um, this scenario presents an ethical dilemma. During a public health emergency, should leaders tell the whole truth and risk panic or manage information for stability? It's actually a question of moral responsibility. Socrates would likely argue for openness grounded in rational inquiry, where truth serves justice even if it's uncomfortable. The gospel would emphasize truth as liberating, yet always expressed through love and compassion. Catholic social teaching insists that citizens have a right to truth, especially when decisions affect their lives. And Keyes would caution that concealing or spinning truth normalizes dishonesty and weakens public trust. This exercise shows that truth is not abstract, it's practical, ethical, and consequential. Real leadership requires discernment and how to communicate truthfully without irresponsibly spreading fear will matter a lot. From crisis of leadership, we move to crisis of technology, the new frontier where truth is being tested and even transformed. Here we explore how technology has complicated truth in the 21st century. New digital tools, deepfakes, filter bubbles, bot networks have reshaped how truth is created, perceived, and shared. Deepfakes create realistic but false videos, undermining trust in visual evidence. Filter bubbles show us only what confirms our beliefs, isolating us from differing views. Bots and algorithms manipulate information to sway opinions and polarize societies. Technology magnifies both enlightenment and deception. The same internet that gives us access to human knowledge also floods us with falsehood. Therefore, truth seeking today demands digital literacy, skepticism, and moral vigilance. We must verify before sharing, therefore, reflect more before reacting, and resist the lure of easy confirmation. Technology changes how we find truth, but truth itself also varies across different domains of knowledge. Let's see how. This slide distinguishes how truth functions in various fields: scientific, mathematical, moral, and historical. Scientific truth relies on observation, evidence, and reproducibility. It's always provisional, open to revision with new data. Mathematical truth is absolute within formal systems. It doesn't depend on reality but on logical coherence. Moral truth concerns right and wrong, good and evil, grounded either in objective principles or social conventions, depending on one's view. Historical truth seeks to reconstruct what actually happened using evidence and interpretation, always partial, never complete. These distinctions remind us that truth is contextual but never relative. Each domain has its own standards of validity. Knowing which kind of truth we're dealing with helps us reason more precisely and communicate more responsibly. Beyond theories and disciplines, truth also has a personal character. The virtue of truthfulness. Truthfulness goes beyond accuracy. It's a moral habit, a way of being in the world. A truthful person embodies several virtues: courage to face unpleasant facts, humility to admit what one doesn't know, discipline to resist self deception and manipulation, wisdom to speak the truth with compassion and prudence, and persistence uh, to keep seeking truth even when inconvenient. Truthfulness integrates intellect and morality. It's what keeps our knowledge humane and our relationships trustworthy. In an age of spin, a truthful person becomes a quiet revolutionary, someone who restores integrity to discourse. But we need to be careful. Truth never exists in isolation. It is shaped and sometimes distorted by systems of power. This introduces the French philosopher Michel Foucault and his provocative idea that truth and power are inseparable. It challenges the comforting notion that truth stands pure and even independent, untouched by politics or authority. Foucault observed that every society produces its own regime of truth. And that means truth is not only discovered, it's also organized, circulated, and enforced through systems of power, schools, media, religion, government, and science. Those who hold power, economic, cultural, institutional, often control which ideas are accepted as true and which are dismissed or silenced. This insight doesn't mean there is no such thing as truth. Rather, it reminds us to stay critical and self aware. We must ask whose voice is being amplified, whose experience is being dismissed, or who benefits from the way truth is being told. Understanding this dynamic prevents us from being naive. It helps us recognize that even truth telling can be political. That's why speaking truth to power, especially when it's uncomfortable or unpopular, becomes an act of moral courage. In a just society, power should serve truth, not manufacture it. When power manipulates truth, tyranny grows. And when truth challenges power, justice begins. If truth and power intertwine, the question becomes, how can we build communities where truth is pursued collectively, not controlled selectively? Let's explore that next. Building a truth seeking community. This slide lays out what it means to create a community, whether academic, civic, or spiritual, that genuinely seeks truth. A truth seeking community is not one where everyone agrees. It's one where disagreement is guided by integrity. It begins with shared standards, agreement about what counts as evidence, rational argument, and credible sources. It thrives on open dialogue where people listen not to win, but to understand. It depends on mutual trust or respect, recognizing that even those we disagree with may hold part of the truth. It grows through error correction, admitting mistakes, revising judgments, and celebrating learning. And most importantly, it requires a shared commitment, the willingness to prioritize truth over personal gain or ideological victory. This model applies to all levels of society, from classrooms to nations. A university's integrity, for example, rests on its devotion to truth above politics. Likewise, democracy depends on the belief that truth can be pursued through public reasoning and dialogue. In a polarized world, like ours, truth-seeking communities become sanctuaries of sanity, places where people can still meet across difference and search honestly together. But why do we even seek truth in the first place? Beyond correctness or justice, truth also speaks to our deepest need for meaning. Truth and meaning. This slide turns our attention from social dimension of truth to its existential one. Truth as something that gives life purpose. The philosopher William James suggested that our most profound truths are those that make life worth living. In other words, truth is not only about facts, it's also about meaning, direction, and value. We don't just want to know what's true, we want to know why it matters. For example, a scientific truth might explain how the universe began. A moral truth tells us how to live within it. A personal truth helps us discover who we are. Meaningful truth integrates the cognitive and the emotional, the rational and the moral. It binds our understanding of reality to our sense of purpose. Importantly, this doesn't mean truth is subjective or inverted. It means that truth's ultimate value lies in how it transforms us, guiding us towards goodness, connection, and fulfillment. A life without truth becomes hollow. A life grounded in truth becomes coherent, purposeful, and free. This reflection leads us to the most personal part of our journey, turning the question inward. How truthful am I? How truthful am I? Truth begins not in abstract debate, but in self examination. Socrates said the unexamined life is not worth living. This moment of reflection asks us personal honesty. Am I truthful in my words, actions, and motivations? Intellectual humility. Do I remain open to correction or do I cling to being right? Critical thinking. Do I verify information before accepting it? Courage. Do I face truth about myself that are uncomfortable or painful? To live truthfully means aligning what we believe, say, and do. It also means practicing discernment, recognizing that truth is not always easy or immediate, but always worth pursuing. By examining our own integrity, we prepare to contribute meaningfully to society's larger truth seeking mission. The journey toward truth is lifelong, but every honest reflection moves us closer to freedom and authenticity. So we come to our final slide, the heart of our entire inquiry, the conviction that truth is liberating and enduring. Across philosophy, religion, and social science, one message resonates. Truth is not luxury, it is a necessity for human dignity. The correspondence theory reminds us that truth grounds us in reality. The coherence theory shows us that truth gives logic and structure to our thought. Pragmatism teaches that truth works. It helps us flourish in the world. Constructivism reveals that truth is lived within communities and cultures. But truth is more than any single theory. It is the foundation of human freedom. of love, of justice, the very conditions for authentic living. When we seek truth, we are not merely gathering facts, we are building character. When we speak truth, we honor others' dignity. When we live truth, we embody integrity, the harmony between belief and action. Sojourner Truth once said, truth is powerful and it prevails. Even when suppressed, truth resurfaces. Even when inconvenient, it liberates. The pursuit of truth is both an individual calling and a collective responsibility, one that defines our humanity. As we conclude, remember, truth is not just something we know, it's something we become. Let us continue to seek, speak, and live the truth, because in the end, truth is not only what sets us free, it is what makes us truly human. For those who are not aware, truth is one of the core values of Pan Pacific University. Let's invest on our understanding of truth and deepen it as we move forward. Thank you very much for listening.